Good afternoon. My name is Jim Deppe. I'm the advocacy coordinator with Lynnhaven River Now, and I brought along a supporting cast to field questions after this brief presentation. Christina Trapani is owner of Ecomaniac Company. Karen Forget is Lynnhaven River Now as executive director. And Mark Swingle is representing the Virginia Aquarium Foundation. So I would like to start off by referring you, I think in your package is a handout which we've put together that provides a lot of the precise details about the proposed plastic fee, and I'll just press right along. I guess I do my slides here. So this is an example. This slide is an example of representative kind of damage that plastic bags do to marine life. The aquarium has a wealth of information and history about the ingestion of plastic bags by marine animals, specifically turtles, but also marine mammals, fish, and seabirds. They see it as a food object, they ingest it, and in the best case scenario, they survive. In the worst case scenario, they die, and in the middle ground, they get saved by the stranding squad, and they do surgery on them out at the aquarium. I would also mention that plastic bags are all over our environment. This last weekend at the Clean the Bay Day, anecdotally, my wife was in a cleanup between West Great Neck Road and Great Neck Road on Cape Henry Trail. And there weren't bags in the trees, and there weren't bags in the bushes very much, but most of the bags, and a lot of them, were in the waterway. One of the things we like to point out is that not only are they unsightly, but they interfere with our stormwater systems. They clog piping systems, they get involved in pumps and the rest of the system, and they degrade our ability to handle stormwater, which is a big deal, and I don't need to tell you about that. Also, agriculture. So much of our city is agriculture, and plastic bags get in machinery, and they also degrade the quality of bales of cotton, as an example. The Virginia General Assembly passed legislation in 2020 authorizing cities and municipalities and counties to enact a 5-cent bag fee. It's framed as a tax, but we look at it as a fee because you can't avoid a tax. You can avoid this bag fee if you bring a reusable bag. And so it's more of the user has the opportunity to opt out by bringing a reusable bag. It was done in 2020 because of COVID. We collectively across the state, the municipalities waited approximately a year to sort out whether all the things that were going on with COVID, whether it was transmitted by touch or so forth. So none of the cities jumped on this until last May, when Roanoke was the first city to pass the legislation. Plastic bags and the entities that are affected by this bag are grocery stores, pharmacies or drugstores, as well as convenience stores and big box stores that have grocery stores included in them. So these are the cities that have passed the legislation so far, and these all went into effect on January 1st, 2022. Roanoke, Fairfax County, Alexandria. I don't need to read the list to you. Those first 5 are already in effect, and there are 3 others who have passed the legislation, one of which will go into effect of January 2023, and Prince William County is looking at it. The important thing I think to point out here is in January 2023, the Department of Taxation will collect 4 cents of each 5 cent. The vendor keeps 1 cent of the 5 cents that's collected to cover their administrative cost, and to perhaps pay for reusable bags. And and the other 4 cents goes to the Department of Taxation and is redistributed to the city. Anecdotally, I'll tell you that DC has had a bag fee in place for 12 years now, and in the first 10 years they collected $19 million. Fairfax County is anticipating collecting as much as $1 million a year. Now, later in the briefing, I'll get to who that should, what the city does with that is your decision. We have some recommendations, Parks and Rec being one of them, to use it for cleanups, for public outreach, and so forth. I'll get to that in a few minutes in the brief. So, who's not affected? Restaurants, food banks, farmers markets, food trucks, and one of the areas that's not affected as well are any plastic bags that are used to wrap food in, like ice cream or meats or things that could be contaminated. So that is not affected by it. So this is I've already been over this briefly, but I wanted to just reiterate that SNAP and WIC is a big emphasis for us as we talk about this, and as other cities have implemented it, there's a significant effort paid to distributing bags prior to the rollout, prior to the beginning or the implementation of the bag fee, to distribute bags to the SNAP and WIC recipients, as well as to other underserved communities through libraries or civic leagues or other means that we have of distributing bags to the underserved communities, so that they are treated fairly by this bill or this ordinance and not punished by it. Other things are environmental cleanups and public outreach and public education to get the word out about why it's important to reduce bags in our environment. These are some of the organizations that have signed on as supporters of it. We've been on the briefing trail for quite a while, discussing it with folks and getting their perspectives and building that into our pitch as well. Northern Virginia, for example, in Fairfax County, so far they've got two quarters worth of data on the impact of the bag fee in Northern Virginia, and they've seen a 70 to 80% reduction in bags in their urban streams and waterways, which is significant and is in perfect alignment with what they have seen in DC, which is about 70% reduction in bags over time in the Anacostia River. TFC Recycling is on this list because they spend a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of manpower stopping their machinery and getting bags out of the machinery because it binds up their machinery and they have to shut down operations while they clean their gear. So they spend a lot of time and money doing that. So as we move towards questions, I wanted to give you a couple of anecdotes about the first 10 years of the DC bag fee. They've generated $19 million in revenue. They've collected 70,000 pounds of trash and debris removed from their waterways using some traps that they installed, that they used this money to put those traps in. They've educated 9,700 students through overnight programs and taught them about watersheds and the natural environment and the importance of having a clean and pristine environment. They've also restored 29,000 linear feet of stream banks. So all those have gone into kind of breathing life back into the Anacostia River watershed as an example. And around here, there are so many watersheds that need to be freed up of plastic bags, that we feel it's very important to move on and follow the lead of the other communities in Virginia that have implemented this and clean up our waterways. So pending your questions, that concludes my brief, and we're here to field any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions? Mr. Tower.
I don't have a question. I just want to mention Lynnhaven River now for people watching it may not see. I do want to mention the names of the other folks that are sponsoring here: TFC Recycling, Surfrider Foundation, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, Virginia League of Conservation Voters, Ecomaniac Company, and Virginia Conservation Network, and extend personal thanks to all of them for their support. This is a community-wide effort. It makes so much sense to me that I cannot imagine anybody not supporting it, but that's why we're here, is to have that discussion too. So I do invite questions or comments from council members on this, but I want to thank the folks that have taken the initiative to bring this to us. We're fortunate that it's been sort of tested in other jurisdictions in Virginia just since 2020 when this was passed, so we have some great examples of how it's working, and want to reemphasize a 70 to 80% reduction in plastic bags in our environment. That's would be an enormous benefit to our environment, our community, and I hope everyone will find their way to support it. But I also welcome everyone's questioning to make sure we've got the system.
And Mr. Moss.
Right.
I don't have a question I have a question for staff. I'd like to know what JLARC's evaluation was, and given its alleged metric performance, why the state chose not to just ban bags in the state without having to impose a fee at all versus delegating it to someone else to make the decision. So I'd like to know what JLARC's assessment was as to why the General Assembly chose not just to ban bags outright and save all of us the fee. So I'd like to know what conclusion they came to. I'd like to have that analysis.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.